Hey everyone, my name is Matt, and I'm currently a first year law student at Ole Miss Law School. I'm from Vacaville, California, which is basically in between San Francisco and Sacramento. So you can see I came a pretty good distance to go to law school. I mainly just wanted to make a video talking about my first week and how it went, and what you can expect for your first week if you do decide to go to law school. I applied for a number of schools. I applied to get into UC Davis, which is nearby where I live. I applied to get into Hastings. Um, I applied to get into Ole Miss, obviously University of Mississippi. I applied for this one school in San Francisco called Golden Gate University, and I applied for a school called McGeorge in Sacramento. I basically chose Ole Miss over those schools because, well, for when I got into McGeorge and I got into Golden Gate. I got pretty big scholarships for both of those, but in the end, even with the scholarships from those schools, it still came out to it still costed more to go to either McGeorge or Golden Gate than to go to Ole Miss. I also think Ole Miss, personally, I preferred the campus over those schools. I do have ties to Mississippi, so I wasn't coming totally blind into a whole other place. But even then, I'm not really too worried about going to another state to go to school. It doesn't bother me one bit. But ultimately, the tuition here was a lot cheaper, and it was just such a better deal than any other school I got into. I know it's not exactly the best school. It's probably mid tier, but ultimately, you just got to pass the bar exam, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's what you got to do to become a lawyer, obviously. So yeah, my first day on Monday. It's Saturday now. My first day, you learn real quick that it's not like undergrad where there's syllabus week. You get straight into it in law school, most definitely. You're expected to have your reading assignments done by the first day and be ready to discuss everything by the first day. Luckily, I got a heads up from some people I know that have been to law school, and they told me, yeah, it's not an introduction day. It's the first day of school. You're really getting into it. So I was prepared the first day. I know there was definitely some people that weren't. And on that note, you're expected to read a lot in law school. You have to read like a lot. There's a lot of reading, a lot of analyzing, a lot of reading cases. It's not like a normal textbook in undergrad, which kind of talks about the subject. In law school, you have a case book and you read cases and you analyze the law, the rules of law, the issue for each case, the facts of the case, and ultimately the holding that the appellate judges made in that appeal. You're usually studying appeal cases from the trial level. So in other words, the issue between the two parties had been judged by a judge, and the trial level of court, which is the lowest level, and one of them appealed because they didn't like the decision, or they didn't like why the decision came out to how it did. So then it goes to the appellate court, and at the appellate court, the different judges they kind of go over the case and they look into it, and they provide their opinion on the case, and they decide to reverse or remand it or affirm it, the decision made at the trial level, and ultimately that's what you're studying in each of the cases in law school. On top of that, you need to make sure you have your readings done always, because the professor is always going to be calling on you, or people around you. It might not be one day, but eventually you're going to get called on to explain the case. So if you didn't read, you didn't pay attention, and you didn't understand the material, you're going to look pretty silly when you don't know what to say when the professor calls on you. And usually, I mean, who cares if you look silly? I mean, it's whatever. I mean, it's just school. We're all there to learn. But if you show up totally unprepared and you don't know, and you don't even provide some answers to show that you did the reading, the professor he can talk you down on your grade for that. So you have to at least show up and at least give it your best shot to answer his question. And he's usually going to ask things like, what was the ruling of the case? What were the facts of the case? How would you apply that to this other hypothetical scenario? That type of stuff. And again, if I didn't make it more, if I didn't highlight it enough, there's going to be a lot of reading. You can be reading all the time. Right when you get out of class, the first place you're going to go is to the library. At least that's me. I get in the library and I study and I study and I study until I get all the cases read and briefed. Not everyone briefs their cases, but I do. What briefing is basically you're going to take the whole case, you're going to summarize it. You're going to talk about at first the facts, then the issue of the case, why it was appealed, And then talk about the rules that the appellate judges ultimately enforced, and you're going to talk about the holding, which is what they decide. And then the conclusions, so you're going to talk about whether, the trial court was wrong for granting that motion, or for dismissing a motion, or for making a judgment a certain way that they did for the reasons that they did, and all that. That's really the gist of it. Also, you're gonna get to know your 1L class really well, because you're gonna be taking all the same classes. When you're not studying, you're gonna be in class with them, and you're gonna be seeing them, and you're gonna be talking together, and it that's basically how it goes. You're gonna be talking to a lot of people, the same people, all the time. So I'm sure most people are wondering what makes law school different from undergrad. Well, undergrad, at least for me, I mean, if you had a STEM major, I'm sure that you did a lot of study. I'm sure you busted your ass to get it. And I mean, we all put in our effort to get our undergrad degree. No question. No matter what degree you got, you had to put the effort in, and you chose that subject for the reasons that you did. But ultimately, I never, at least me personally, I was a business major. I didn't sit there and study after every single class all the time. Most of my studying was at the end of the semester, right before finals. In law school, it's basically like you have a mini test every single class, not an actual test, but a test of discussing if you actually read the material and if you understand it. So in a way, it kind of feels like you're cramming in for a final every day, a little bit. And I mean, like I said, there's just a lot more reading, and you're not really being questioned. Like, you're not really preparing to know the facts of a class like you usually would. You're really understanding the different rules and different rules of law, and you're kind of seeing how to apply it to different situations, and it's a little bit different than undergrad in that respect. The classes I'm currently taking I'm taking civil procedure, which is basically the rules that lawyers have to follow. I'm taking contracts, I'm taking torts, and I'm taking legal research and writing. And so far, I like every single one of my classes. I've always wanted to go to law school, so I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, and I did a lot of research before going. And yeah, you don't really choose your classes your first year. Actually, you just don't choose your classes; they choose them for you. And then finally, I was just going to talk about how much different this part of the country is than where I'm from. It's really not that much different. I mean, some people have different interests and stuff, but that's everywhere. I studied abroad to Amsterdam before, and while I was an undergrad, and that's a real culture shock. This really isn't. I mean, it's still the United States. I mean, everyone speaks English, that's really the only criteria I need to move somewhere, because that's the language I speak. But yeah, I'm really enjoying my time at Ole Miss so far. It's only been 1 week, but I definitely really like it. I'm definitely enjoying my experience. It's not quite the same rowdy nature of Chico State. Chico State was a total party school. And then again, I think Ole Miss is too, but I'm not really part of the bulk of the student body of Ole Miss. We're part of the law school, and the law school kind of gets treated as if it's its own school. So you don't really get much contact with the undergrads unless you get out there, and you make it happen. Because my undergrad years, I mean, I liked to go out and do a lot of stuff all the time, and it was a blast. Law school is not really like that. Chico State could get a little bit rough, but it was a lot of fun though, definitely. Yeah, real good memories from Chico State. Definitely, I gotta say. But I'm looking forward to these new memories I'm gonna make in law school. Definitely different memories. So yeah, I'm thinking I'll probably post another video after the first month of school, when I have a better grasp on everything and my study habits, and I can share that with you guys and tell you guys how I did that. Then I'll probably post a video at the end of the first semester, after finals, and say how I think that went. And I'll probably post one talking about how my grades came out, and then